Bismillah.
So before going into presentation, we have to know why we are talking about these topics, why these topics are important to us. As we know that we are living in a post like enlightenment era, or some people like will go like postmodernism, or post truth era. Okay, like postmodernism and post truth, I will talk later. But as we know that we are not living in an era where the worldview is God centric. Yeah. So what kind of crisis we are facing due to moving from the so-called dark ages? So the era which was a God centric era is called or considered dark ages. So we are living in an irony, or like the internal conflict within ourselves. So at the same time we say that we are enlightened, or we are modern, or like we have left the dark things, and now we are living with the knowledge. Yeah. But at the same time we are not able to navigate who we are, or what is our purpose, or why we are living. Yeah. So this claim is like has internal conflict at the we claim that our rationality has progressed, human has progressed. But when we see the like the people who are living 5 years ago, 500 years ago, or 1,100 years ago, it seems like they were more clear about themselves. Yeah. They were more clear about their goals, or where they are heading towards. But we are living in a the in a very clumsy, confusing situations, where like we don't know like why we are living. So this so much confusion is creating like a lot of the these things which is degenerating humanity, degenerating individuals. So like the if you will describe the human, like the modern human, you can say that this human is a reflection of uh, conflict within themselves. So they will claim that they are free, they have the self determination, they have every rights. But at the same time, in the next sentence they will claim that they are not free. So you can understand this, where we are, how we are living. So our external world is very different from our internal worlds. So what we are inside, we are not outside. So hence we are here to talking about this, the topic crisis of modernism, and this is the basic crisis. So we will try to find out more aspects in this crisis, like what we have lost, and how we can get that. Yeah, inshallah. So moving forward. So some like first of all we have to understand what is modernism. So people think that development of technology is modernism. That is not true. That is manifestation. What we have, so the called technology, that is manifestation, or a very small part of modernism. That is, if some like the people will think in subcontinent, as you are aware about the subcontinent culture, when they heard the term modernism or modernity, they think okay, like dressing like the European people, or using gadgets, technologies, or talking in English, that is some kind of modernity or modernism. But that is a superficial understanding of modernism. This is not modernism. Using technology or advancing in science is not modernism basically. So what is modernism? So modernism is a worldview which govern your all activities, like why you are doing these scientific endeavors, why we are creating, why we are spending so much money on scientific projects. So the purpose behind this advancement, or the purpose behind all activities or knowledge activities, is modernism basically. How we look the world, how we look ourselves, how we look technology. So how do we see that? That is modernism. What we are doing, that is not actually modernism. Why we are doing, that is modernism. So the modernism lies behind our activities. So modernism is not basically or primarily something which is reflected in our action. That is not the uh, true understanding of modernism. The modernism is something which is in our head, in our mind, which is driving our activities. So modernism is a worldview transiting from God to human. Why we are saying that modernism is a worldview transiting from God to human? If we know that, what is dark ages, we have to understand why it is called dark ages. It is called dark ages because they were defining the world, or the human, or the cosmos, everything they were defining from the God side. Yeah, so if you will define the cosmos, yourselves, or whatever around you is from God's view, that is dark ages. So every religious person in today's world also, if they say that, okay, I will define everything from Bible's perspective, or I will define everything from Quran's perspectives, or any religious books perspective, or any the God's perspective, that is dark age. Basically, that human is not enlightened as per the modern definition. So if you will read the modern thinkers after Enlightenment era, you can find this, like in Rousseau, in Kant, or like Derrida, or like the in recent era like Foucault, Derrida, or Sartre. So we can trace out these thinking, like if you are saying, or you are insisting, or you are taking a position that I will see the world from God's eyes. Yeah, that means you are not a, enlightenment man. You are a backward person. You are outdated person. You are not someone to call be human. So the entire definition of human got changed. So here you can see a word human translating from God to human. So what is human here in this word? So human doesn't mean like we have the understanding of human before 500 years ago. That human was different, and now how we describe human, that is different. So now modernism is a worldview transiting from God to human God. So human here is means God. So they replace the god which were super, like the metaphysical entity, that was a not a physical entity, or not a materialistic entity. They replaced a metaphysical super being from a physical human. So that is modernism basically. So when we talk to people, they basically thinks, okay, the technological advancement, or all these, the things around us, what is called like aeroplane, or technologies, 5Gs, 4Gs, or or other activities, that is modernism. That is a very superficial understanding about modernism, that these things are reflections what we have in our head. So after understanding this, now we can navigate the problem, why we having different kind of problems. So first of
So,
all, we look. Yeah.
brother Aasim, May I just ask a question just so that
Mhm.
we can
Mhm.
clarify this particular point? Because this is an important definition, and I just want to make sure that we can have more clarity on this. So, is it okay to say that modernism is a worldview where the center of your of how you looked at the world changed from God-given laws to your individualistic human defined rules, that this is what I want to do or this is what my desire is. So in essence it's the it's the view that what you want, right, is
Yeah,
what is
that is
most
very
paramount.
true. Yeah. So like in a phrase we can say, so previously who was human here? Like the God was creating the concept of good and bad,
Yeah.
and human was accumulating that, okay, or acquiring that concept and doing activities as per their God's concept. But now
Yeah.
human is someone who can create their own concept of good and bad.
All right.
Yeah. So the authority to create the concept of good and bad was, solely with the God. But now every human has that authority. Suppose the modern thinkers will say, okay, if someone is praying, suppose worshiping God, and that person thinks this is good, yeah, this is virtue, and a person who thinks that, okay, I will go into the field and I will pluck the leaves from trees, yeah, and that is virtues for me. So the both
Hmm.
action will be same in terms of in the eyes of modern thinkers, because someone has created the concept of virtue as worshipping God, and someone has created the virtue as plucking leaves from the trees. So both are
Okay.
same because both are creating their own concept of virtues. So you cannot say the person who has created a concept or the concept of virtue as worshipping God is better than a person who is sleeping in field, or just some doing something else. So
Okay.
that is the basic things. Yeah.
All right. So, Brother Asim, just one other point on this. So, it appears that when we're talking about modernism, morality is a part of it, and basically the core center on which this debate is happening. Right. The transition is a transition in how humans now view morality, or the source of morality.
If like everything, like whatever the authority God has, that authority has given to the human being.
To the
That
human
is
being. All right.
modernism. Yeah.
Okay. Jazakallah khair, brother.
So moving forward, we will see some the challenges due to modernism we are facing. So I have pointed some crisis. So crisis due to human centric worldview. So what kind of crisis we are facing? Human disconnection from the root. What is root? So some people will say that like our race is our root, yeah, and they will go back to their race histories 2000 years or 3000 years, yeah. Someone will say that they will connect their root with language, or someone will connect their root with a specific land, yeah. But here root doesn't mean that. So when we are saying human disconnection from the root, is their or the concept of origin with the God. So root means their original positions, like we call fitra, yeah. So that is root here. It doesn't mean like race or nations or language or culture. So some like people thinks root like, okay, race or history or their own, the previous things. So root means something which every individual has inside. That is there. his fitra. So due to this transition, we got disconnected from our fitra. Why? Because our fitra was to, submit, to obey. That is our fitra. But when we are saying that you are yourself, your God, or you are a sovereign entity, yeah, that means I don't need to submit anyone. So we got disconnected, and this is the, like, people will deny it. Because why? Because due to their, upbringing or education system, they will deny it, and they will talk about sovereignty and freedom. Okay, this is my right, this is, I am, I am a free individual, so I can choose anything or I can decide anything. But at the same time, every human psychology has, the very strong, like, feelings to submit, and they are denying their urge. So they are disconnecting from the root, they are disconnecting from their fitra. So what is, like, in previous 50 years, we are seeing one trend that is called, the individual spirituality. So individualistic spirituality, you will see some, the babas, yogis, and the gurus, they are coming and they are giving lectures, and they are not connecting the spirituality with God or any religion. They are saying every individual can create their own spirituality, or the way to connect with, to satisfy their spirituality. Why we are seeing that trend? Due to the urge we have. So modernity, they try to suppress that urge, but they failed. Once they failed to urge our, the fitra, they created the new things. What is that? The individualistic spirituality. You can find your own way to satisfy your spiritual urge, but that is not the original positions. Okay, that is a kind of, the giving excuse to ourselves. Okay, I have that urge to submit, but I will find out something others. It is like that. Okay, you suppose you are going through a crisis, or someone is depressed, very depressed, and for sometimes, like, they will go to, movies, or like they will drink, or they will take some nonsense, the edible things. Why? Because they want to escape that depression, but that is not the remedy. Yeah, whatever they are choosing to escape from the depression, that is not the remedy. So the same way, the modern people, they are choosing a way to escape, or to, satisfy the urge of spirituality, after creating their own individualistic spirituality. That is not the way, that is not the remedy. So human got disconnected from their fitra, from their root, due to the modernistic worldview. The second crisis we are facing is materialism. So if you will go to the poor people, like, people think that, okay, the person who has a lot of money or resources, they are materialistic, only they are materialistic. But that is not true. Materialism is not something, the status, or of having money or resources. That is not materialism. As we know that many sahabas or many pious persons, they were very wealthy. Yeah. So being wealthy doesn't mean being materialistic. So materialism is a status of mind. That is not a status of, the wealth. What you acquired, that is not materialism. Materialism is a status of someone's mind. So if you go to the poor people in this era, and you will ask, okay, what, uh, idealize a person, give me a person you want to be, and the people will give you some, billionaire's name. Okay, I want to be like this billionaire, that billionaire. So that is the status of the mind. They want to be a person who thinks that they have a lot of material resources. But if you go to our past, like the Islamic history or Islamic past, people don't want to, the person who has a lot of resources. They never idealize that kind of person. In our entire history, the person who has a lot of resources, or like the wealthy person, they were never idealized. The people who are pious, yeah, they were idealized, and people want to be like them, who are like taqwa. We call taqwa. So taqwa was the criteria to idealize someone, not the money or the wealth or the resources. So materialism is not, as I said, that acquiring wealth. Materialism is a status of the mind, like you idealized wealth or you idealized resources. Yeah, so that is materialism. So due to this crisis, we like the entire society influenced from materialism, and due to this, we are having a lot of bad effects because everyone wants to be a billionaire. So like a lot of scams, financial scams, marriage scams, romance scams, every kind of scams you will find in our society. Why? Because are cheating other people are cheating other people. Why? Because they want to, a wealthy person in a very short period of time. That is a side effect of materialism. At the same time, we know that a lot of, the businesses which is harming the people or society, but they are operating under the government surveillance. Yeah, they are operating their system, they are operating their business, and the people know that this business will harm the society, entire society, like the drugs businesses, or the arm businesses. But they do that because they want to get money. They don't care about the situation of the society. They just care about their money or their wealth. The third problem we are facing is the quantification of human emotions, and that is very serious issue. Quantification of human emotions. So now we are in the era where the science, like the previously 100 years, 200 years ago, it was said that the purpose of science is to discover the natural laws. Yeah, but that is not the case today. The purpose of science is not to explore or know or understand the world. The purpose of science today is to create a the create the reality, not know the reality, to create the reality. And if the reality is not fitting with your perception, you will use the science to change the reality as per your perceptions. Yeah. So like we have a lot of technologies today where they are talking about the, cloning system, or genetic mutations, or like the virtual worlds, and these kind of lot of technologies we have where they are altering the reality. They are not trying to know the reality, they are trying to altering the reality and trying to fit the reality as per their own perception. So they are altering the human emotions also, and they are trying to quantify that emotions. It was said previously that human emotions cannot be measured on a scale, but they are trying. Or we have, the as all are using social media apps, or like if you will go to any restaurant or if you will use any services, they will give you stars. They will ask you to give a stars 1 to 5 or 1 to, the 10. Or they will give you a smiley signs, very, the unsatisfactory to good or satisfactory. So 5 options they will give you. So that is basically quantification of one example. Like that is an example like we are used to with that example. So that is a kind of, the quantification of human emotions. So you are trying to measure human emotions on a scale. And if you, when you will claim that I can measure human emotions, then that is very problematic. That is very problematic, because now you are changing the reality of human being. So that is another crisis we are facing due to modernism. The next one is individualism. As like this is very common, everyone knows that this topic is very common in society, and everyone is talking about individualism, how this is destroying families, how this is destroying our social structures, or how this is weakening our social bonds and everything. How people are just focusing on themselves and they are not caring about other people. Or so individualism is very common, as we know that. And this crisis is due to modernism. Before the modern era or enlightenment era, there was nothing called individualism. This concept, the entire concept of individualism was not exist. Then we have intellectual degeneration. So people think this is very interesting thing. People think that if I have a lot of information, I am very knowledgeable, but that is not true. Having a lot of information in bit and pieces will degenerate your intellectuality. Basically, people will shock like how this is possible. If I have a lot of informations, I am like the very intellectual person, or I am a very knowledgeable person. But that is not true. Why? Because see, what is the function of reason or mind? So one of the function of our mind is reflecting. So the modern people, due to their modern way of life, they don't have time to reflect on the data whatever. So the human being now is like a robot. They are just the feeding data in their mind, but they are not reflecting on that data. So when you stop reflecting, your intellectuality started to decrease. So we know that if you will ask to the people like questions, you will start questioning the people. They will get confused, or they will not able to answers, but they have a lot of information in bit and pieces. They will talk about different issues, but when you will ask something which is where you need reflection of on the data, the people will get stuck and they will not able to answer you. So the people are behaving like robot in modern era in the field of intellectuality, and this is purely due to the modern way of life. Because we have social media where the information bombardment of informations, scrolling from like in 1 second you will jump from one topic to another on social media. Like suppose now you are reading a post related to Olympics, and the next post will be related to war. Yeah, now you are reading something related to a specific issue, and another second you will have some videos related to entertainment. So that kind of shift degenerate your mind, degenerate your intellectuality. As we know now, this is established, like the our concentration span now is 8 seconds only. So Z generation people can concentrate on one issue only for 8 seconds. So previously, in the previous, like in my generation, it was 12 seconds. So almost like the 30%, more than 30% decrease in concentration, and that is due to modern way of life. Then the next one is moral decay. So everyone is complaining about the morality of humans.
Brother
Yeah,
Asim, just a question on intellectual degeneration. Uh, if is this basically, in a way, you're making a distinction between having knowledge but without wisdom to on how to use that knowledge or how to apply that knowledge? Is that what it comes down to, or
yeah,
is there
yeah.
more
So
than? Okay.
yeah, it is more than that, but that is a part of the intellectual degenerations. So basically, we say that there is a three function of our mind, and one of the major function is reflection on the data.
Yes. Yes.
So people are not able to reflect on the data.
Jazakallah khair.
And the next one is moral decay. As we know that everyone is talking about morality in society, and that is true. That is true that the this generation and the next generation, my generation and the next generation, is not as moral as the my parents generation is. That is something which I can observe that. So a lot of the different thing, as I said in the part of materialism, that people are not hesitating to cheat, people are not hesitating to break the trust or anything. They can do anything to achieve their own goal. People are not caring their as you reflect on this example, that the concept of old home, yeah, for the old people was not there in entire human history. That is purely a new phenomena, purely a modern phenomena, where we have the old home for the old people. And that was not like even in the concept of the people, like anyone can uh, uh, do these kind of activities with their parent. That was beyond their concept. So it is the one of the worst things. Even the non-believers or the materialistic people of the past don't have this kind of thinking that okay, I can abandon my parents, my fathers and mothers. That was entirely an inhuman activities. Even the people who are considered immoral in the past, they can't think like this. So we have many things like the modern philosophy will give you justification of many things, incest, like the cannibalism, or the many things which I cannot say here, because as the platform will not support that kind of words. So but you can understand that modern philosophy will give you justification of everything. Whatever will you give, that is moral in terms of modern morality.
Brother Asim, one
Yeah,
other observation here.
yeah, yeah.
One of the oldest atheistic culture is the Buddhist culture, right? And even within that culture, there's this idea of respecting your parents.
Mm.
It's almost as if this is a completely new concept that has come up with this modernism and postmodernism, which has not been there throughout human history.
Yes, sure. Yeah, that is the case. Like the old ancient time or the medieval time people, they even cannot concept the activities or the act what we are doing today. So that was uh, beyond their concept what we have today.
All right.
Okay,
Jazakallah
so
khair.
next one is the cultural homogenization. So what is that? So as we know that the due to colonialism, we have cultural homogenization. So in the entire world, on the name of globalization, the cultures that was preserved, like centuries and centuries, were destroyed all over the world. Like now we don't have Incas, we don't have uh, American culture, we don't have South American culture, we don't have the Australian culture. So all cultures were wiped out from the world. And like in Muslim world, we have preserved our civilizations, but that is also decreasing. So people are in the name of globalization or in the name of modernity or being progress or being developed, they are trying to copy or they are trying to imitate the Western, modern Western. Even the Western culture is not preserved, right? in the medieval Arab culture is not preserved in modern era. So they destroy all the cultures, and they built a new culture that is innate secular culture. Like wherever they will go, they will destroy, or they will curb something which is related to God or something related to religion. So in culture we can see, or like in Russia, what happened in USSR regimes, and in India what happened in the British era, or in Malay, Indonesia, Malaysia, in these all areas. In Central Asia what happened, in China what is going on, we can see that in China also, like how they are wiping out other cultures. They are imposing a specific kind of notion, like what is culture and what is being to Chinese. So they are imposing this. So in every nation you will find this trend that they are imposing a specific kind of culture to other people in the name of nationalism. Yeah, in throughout world you will find this. Being American will define you if you are like this. Being European will define you if you own this culture. Yeah. So that is the one crisis also we have. And this is the irony that the modern philosophy or the modern worldview claim that we respect cultures, other cultures, and we try to uh, uh, preserve other cultures. And in that name they will give you some the efforts also, like we have UNESCO heritage list, and they will say, okay, see, we are trying to preserve our ancient culture, our ancient things. But that is not true, because they are trying to preserve something as a museum, not as an active culture. So they are trying to preserve the culture as a dead culture, not as an active culture. So that is the difference. We are saying you are destroying the active culture, and you are preserving that culture as a dead culture. And you are saying, okay, see, we respect and we are trying to preserve the culture. Or in the name of culture, just there is a one day culture day, and you have to celebrate your own culture, and the 364 days you have to be like the modern people. So these are the crises. There are a lot of crises. Just I have mentioned some crises which we are facing today. So as we discussed, how we are disconnected from our fitra, our root, then how the materialistic worldview has overwhelmed us. The same way how we are changing the and altering the human being, and like the intellectual degenerations and moral decay. We have talked about this. Now we'll move to the solution, to Islam. How we can defeat all these crises, how we can come out from these crises. So the simple answer is Islam. So just two things I will give this. As I said that we are uh, facing intellectual degenerations, so we have to preserve our intellectual. And that is interesting. Like if you will read Maqasid Sharia, the objectives of Sharia, the Islamic law, objectives of Islamic law, Sharia, we have five objectives, and one of the major of like the out of five, one of the objective is to protect human intellectuality, human intellect. So protecting human intellect is one of the objectives of Islam. So just two questions I am putting here to reflect. I will not give anything about these two questions. Just like the we have to think, we have to give some times to us, we have to sit alone, and we have to think like who we are. Who are you? Who are we? Who am I? We have to reflect on these questions. And the same way we have to reflect on the death. So okay, there maybe there are certainly there are many people who will deny God. There are many people who are not, relating the religious reality with their life. There are many people, many and many billions and people in today's world, they are not able to relate, religious concept with their life, and they think okay, these all things are irrelevant because they are not able to relate this reality due to modernity, because they are disconnected from their fitra, so they are not able to relate the Islam or the, Tawheed or Risala or and these things. But they will relate death, because even the people who deny God or abuse God or they have hate towards God, they will not deny death. Death is still a reality. Yeah, people are trying to change, people are trying to defeat death, but still death is reality and everyone can relate death with their life. So we have to reflect who are we, and the next thing is like, what is death, and is the death our ending point? So who are we, the question who are we is related to like, it is impossible that we don't have our value, our depth. It is impossible. If you will reflect on our reality, so in Islamic term, that is called, we have two terminologies, that is, one terminology is anfus and one is afaq. So anfus and afaq, that means internal world and external world. So when you will get the answer of this question, who am I? After getting this, after reflecting on this question, you people will able to relate their life with death, and when they are able to relate death with their life, they will able to relate their reality with their religion. Yeah, and the next thing is like, we have to reflect on this, like, are we denying our original position? Are we denying our fitra? So we have to sit alone somewhere where we have peace, no one, like, there is no one who the disturbing us, and then we have to reflect like, what is my inner voice, what is my inner thought? Is submission to God is coming from our inside? If it is coming from our inside, we have to listen that, and we have to go back to our root. We have to fix it. We have to go back to our fitra. If we will go back to our root, our fitra, then inshallah we will able to defeat the modernism. So the last request I have, like, the many people, many Muslims, especially with Muslims, like, they say, okay, I am a modern Muslim, or Islam doesn't stop you to be a modern. That is a nonsensical thing. So we have to stop this. Now we have to stop this. As in the beginning, as I said, that modernism is not the reflections or the manifestations we have, like the scientific, the innovation, that is not modernism. Modernism is being mini god. So it is not possible that we can reconcile modernity with Islam. That is impossible. That is impossible. Like, modernism is very distinct from shirk also. Even the shirk cannot be reconciled with modernism. Even the Christianity cannot be reconciled with modernism. So what is happening? It is not reconcilable. So Christianity is getting changed. Day by day, they are changing, the Christianity. And in our life, we have many examples, like how they change the concept and laws in the Christianity. Why they are changing? Because they are under pressure. The Christian is modern. They are thinking, okay, the modern values, I have to accept the modern values, modern morality, and then I have to redefine Christianity, reinterpret Christianity as per modern values. The same thing people are doing with Islam, and that is very wrong, very wrong. Like if you will do that, like it is like na khudai mila na sanam, like na sanami mila na khuda. That means you will not be able to achieve the that kind of life, the materialistic life a non-Muslim or the modern person has. And the other way, on the other hand, you will also be not able to achieve the Islamic way of life. So you will be on a two boat at the same time, and that is very dangerous. So kindly stop being associated with modernism. It is not a shame things. Like if you I say, okay, I am Muslim and I don't identify or I don't associate myself with modernism. Modernism is not something which is I should be idealized, or something which is very good things. Modernism is one of the worst things the human has in entire history. But like that got idealized, it doesn't mean that we also have to accept that. So that is just two things, like I want to present
Yeah.
our people, and that is just reflection of ourselves. Yeah.
So, Brother Asim, just a couple of things. So, when you're saying we have to deny modernism, or we have to deny the idea of being a modern Muslim, you're not saying here that we have to deny progress. You're not basically pointing out that we have to deny the scientific revolution, or going ahead in the field of science, or going ahead in the field of history, or any other field that we are, but basically to, to deny the uh, the human centric focus of um, these fields that we
Yeah.
see nowadays, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So we are saying we have to deny the values, like the values which is deciding these fields. So no, there is no knowledge field, there is no stream of knowledge which is without values, or we are without the concept, the conception, metaphysical concept or assumptions. So every, like suppose if some scientist is doing some activities in a lab, they have a purpose of that activities in the lab. What is that purpose? We are saying that person, if the purpose is coming from modernity, we have to deny that.
Yeah.
We have to deny that purpose.
So basically, what I understand from this is you're telling us to question the underlying assumptions, the purpose, and the reason why something is happening, not necessarily the action itself of um, sort of doing it. The same action may be right if done with the correct assumptions, correct presuppositions, um, that do not go against the Islamic values. For example, when we're in the academic field, right, there's the presupposition of naturalism, which as a Muslim, right, it goes against our core principal values, right? We believe that God exists and this world has been created by God, and that what we're studying is how God or Allah um has brought about the functioning of this reality. But what the current academic circles, in the current academic circles, the supposition is that there is no God. So how will this come about? And that for a Muslim, we should question those presuppositions before even getting into that field and saying, okay, I'll just go ahead and become a scientist, right?
Yep. Yeah, so true.
Jazakallah khair. One other thing that stood out for me, brother Asim, this was again, alhamdulillah, an amazing presentation. It feels like we're actually living in this era of contradictions. Um, if I want to put this in a nutshell, that
Yeah.
we've postmodernism is really taking us from an era where we would be identifying contradictions and saying no, contradictory things are not possible. But now we're saying even if it's contradictory, it's fine. It That's okay. When it's not okay from a logical point of view, the human mind doesn't accept contradictions. We're being forced to accept these contradictions.
So basically, we have internalized the contradiction in our life. So that seems okay. But if you will reflect on our life, you will like we will easily identify the contradiction what we have in our life.
Yeah.
But that is like the very we are used to with that kind of contradictory life. So we are not caring about that.
All right. And one final thing I want to discuss with you. It's almost poetic that the religion that allowed for contradiction to become the core value of its theology, Christianity, is the source of this postmodernistic worldview. And I feel that it's almost as if Allah is telling us that if you come up with these type of ideas, this is the kind of world you're going to be in. Like Allah says, right? If you forget Allah, i- this is Allah will make you forget yourself, and we're seeing that happen uh, in this postmodern worldview.
Yeah. So Christianity, if you will see the Christianity in the development in Christianity in 50 years, last 50 years, easily we can identify, okay, this is not something which is from God.
Yes.
This is in the recent history what happened with the Christianity. Yesterday I was reading a post where like they have changed some verses in the Greek version of Bible. So
Okay.
that is, yeah, that is like it was unbelievable for me, like how they can do that, like and in this era where people can easily know that, okay, you are changing the original Greek version of Bible, and they have
Yeah.
changed some verses.
And Allah's curse is on those people who change, who write it with their own pen and say that this is from Allah. This is like,
Yeah, they've been doing that for the past like 3,000 years.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But Jazakallah
And-
khair, brother
yeah,
Asim. This was
Jazakallah khair. Yeah,
really insightful again.
Very.
absolutely. Yeah, it's like I think we mentioned this, if I'm not mistaken, in the last presentation that you did, brother, right? That what we refer to as the dark ages for the West, obviously, right? It was our golden age. So for us, all of our progress came about after the advent of Islam, while they have the complete opposite experience, right? So can you shed some light on that? Especially most of our viewership is from the West, so they actually understand this concept, because for them, they just, even like living in the West, I've realized whenever you talk to even theists or deists, right, they have this idea that whenever, like, religion and progress, it cannot go hand in hand. Just somehow they cannot fathom that, right? But for us Muslims, that's not a problem. Obviously, the uh, Muslims, at least from your era, or people that have studied this topic enough, they understand this a lot better than your average Muslims that would actually be influenced by the Western mindset. So can you enlighten and shed some light on that, possibly?
Yeah, from the Islamic viewpoint, we don't say that the era was dark ages, like the 1,000 years of Christian rules. We don't say that the era was dark ages from the Islamic viewpoint. Yeah, we say that like the Jahiliyyah, like we have the term Jahiliyyah, and that the term is applies to every civilization that is not Islamic. So the today's civilization is also called Jahiliya, and the Christian, the other civilizations, the all civilization will be called Jahiliya if the true messages of God is not preserved there. So we will not say dark age, we will say Jahiliya, and the same term we will use for this generation, this civilization also. So why we are saying that? Because they from the modern perspective, the Islamic era is also dark ages. Why? They will say, okay, so you were doing the scientific advancement, okay, but you were seeing the worlds from God's view. You were defining the worlds from Quran. You were interpreting everything. You were following the laws as per Quran, and that is the dark age. Because how a human can follow something which is, the beyond human itself, the creator of good and bad. So why you are navigating your good and bad to the other source? That is dark age. So basically they will say every era which is God centric, that is dark ages. What is the our critique on Christianity and other religion in terms of, the advancement, the scientific advancement? So our critique is that the most of the religion has, the concept of, the leaving the world, like to salvation, to achieve salvation, they need to abandon the world. That is called rahbaniyat. Yeah, rahbaniyat. So in Hinduism, in Buddhism, Jainism, in Christianity, not in Judaism, but in all these religion, you will find this concept. You have to abandon the world to achieve salvation. And we say that, okay, this entire concept will, stop the advancement, the scientific advancement. Yeah. And the other thing is like the problem with the Christianity. What was the problem with the Christianity? Why they they fought with the other people, the scientists, and why they created this environment we are living? This era, the modernism, the birth of modernism is due to Christianity. Yeah. So they internalize the entire Greek, outdated science as a religion. Yeah. Their entire Aristotelian philosophy as a religion. And when the Aristotelian philosophy got challenged, the Christianity got challenged. Yeah. So that was the basic problem with the Christianity in terms of rationality, in terms of scientific advancement. So we say that, and this problem we don't have in our Islamic world. But now, these days, we have some people, they are creating the same mistake. They are committing the same mistake the Christianity did in the last 1,000 years. Like today's, there are some Muslim who are internalizing the modern scientific, theories or the concept in Islam. So after 500 years, you will face the same problem what Christianity has faced in the last 500 years. So why we have the scientific advancement with Islam? Because if you will read the Hafatul Falasfa written by Imam Ghazali, rahimahullah, uh, he point out the field of knowledge where a religious point of view should not be inserted, like the physics, or the natural sciences, which is called sciences today, like the natural sciences. He cited some examples of astronomy, like eclipses and the other these natural phenomena. They clearly stated He clearly stated that religious views should not be inserted in that kind of field. If someone is inserting religious views in that kind of matter, he is enemy of religion. Christianity did the same thing. They inserted their religious views in these kind of things, and when these, the findings challenges the previous findings, the Christianity got shattered. So we have to learn from Christianity, and we should not do that. Muslim didn't do that, so they were fine and they were advancing uh, along with religion. They were very religious, and at the same time, they did remarkable things in the field of science.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to
Wa
everyone on
alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa
Welcome
Walaikum
to the stage, Brother
salam.
Samir.
How
All
you
right.
guys doing?
Good, alhamdulillah.
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 Thank you, Brother Aasim, for uh, such a comprehensive presentation on this topic, which is usually neglected, um, but is very important. And I definitely agree with you that uh, Christianity has fallen, victim to this, and that as Muslims we shouldn't go down the same trajectory. And that it's very possible that we could, if we adopt modernist principles, it'll lead us down to a future in which our religion is very flimsy and easily changed.
Yeah, barakallah feek. So, do you have any question for Brother Asim on the topic?
Yeah, I have one question. So, but awesome. You, I liked the key point when you mentioned when you defined what modernity is, and flat out just saying it's the absence of God. Literally, when you remove God away from the natural world, or even just the thought, that's where a whole bunch of issues arise, which and these are just certain things you haven't even brought up, including marriage. You know, marriage rates. You know, children being born out of wedlock, as we see the epidemic is today. My question to you, you start talking about the Enlightenment era, talking about Aristotelian philosophy, how that kind of thought started perverting the messages. So my question to you is, Aki, exactly at what point, because exactly at what point do you think this idea of modern thinking came? Was it around the time of the Renaissance? Would it be around the age of enlightenment, quote unquote? Would it be around the dark ages? Because I would even say that in the BC era, where Greek Hellenism was running widespread, the people of the book, the Jews, took into that kind of modernity and went astray and focused more on culture, the Hellenistic culture, their own culture, and that took them far away from the concept of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, in general, when exactly do you think this idea of removing God away from the aspects of life, did that become an epidemic? Has it always been there, or when exactly has that been in more of modern times? When exactly would you say that has been?
Yeah, Barakallah, Jazakallah for asking this. So, Ali, we have to understand one thing. Like philosophically, there is no one there is no one who can claim that there is absence of God. People always have concept of God, just they replace a true God with another false God. Like people replaces with Lat and Uzza, and some people replaces God with Isa alayhi salatu wasalam. So the modern people replaced God with their own self. So God is still there, but they replaced, they think they themselves are God. So they replaced the true God with oneself, their own self. Yeah. And the thing like timeline, if you will say in the history, the Rene Descartes was the first person where we can trace this. The dualism of Rene Descartes is the beginning of the this thought. So, and then we have a lot of philosophers like uh, Hegel, Marx,
Kant.
and yeah, Kant, and there was Rousseau, and uh, then we have Jeremy Bentham.
Mm-hmm.
We
Paul
have
Hume.
David
Yeah.
Hume.
David Hume. Yes.
So yeah, so then in the 18th and 19th century, the modernism or the modern worldview became the norms of the society.
Uh,
And Akhi, like, my apologies, Akhi. I just wanted to like add to this particular point, or ask rather, what was the catalyst, in your opinion, that um, this push towards modernism or enlightenment came about? What would you consider the catalyst?
So the if we will find out the reasons, so the reason is starting with a good intention. So there were some people who want to really know the reality, or how I can know the reality. Yeah. So with that intention, the entire, the enlightenment project got started. That was the reason, and that was a very genuine reason. Like the again, I will say the Imam Ghazali, he has the same reason, but he has Islam. Yeah. So after Imam Ghazali, like enlightenment era didn't started in Islamic world, because there was Islam. But the same skepticism when arrived in Europe, and they started to question every foundation of religion, and the Christianity was not able to satisfy their skepticism. So that was a blender from the Christianity side, because Christianity doesn't have, that kind of foundation that can answer the like skepticism, or like very very absolute kind of skepticism. They cannot satisfy, or they cannot answer that kind of skepticism. So from the like the viewpoint of getting a true foundation of knowledge, the entire journey got started. And then the thinkers, like even the modern thinkers thinks that the every religion is same, every religion is like Christianity. So when you will talk with the European people who deny religion or doesn't believe in religion, they will judge Islam as per Christianity. So that is a problem we had.
Jazakallah khair, Akhi. Brother Samir, my apologies that I interrupted you. Go ahead, ask your question, Akhi.
yeah. So, Brother Asim, are you arguing that modernism sort of came out of Christianity itself, like in regards to like Christian principles, or it came out in spite of Christianity, and Christianity was simply too weak uh, to uh, to suppress the spread of this sort of ideology?
So Christianity has a role to in the birth of modernity. As I said, like there was some factors. One is the Christianity was not able to satisfy the skepticism, or the another thing was the political factors, like the how the church was misusing power,
Hmm.
and the excess of the king and the pope.
Hmm.
And so the moral, also the moral problems the church has, like yeah, it was thinking, okay, the people who are in church, like nuns or the bishops and the fathers, they are pious person, they are pious people. uh, but I didn't remember, but there was a pope who had a child, illegitimate child.
Hmm.
And the this affected the entire society, and the people thinking, okay, so I was thinking that this person is pious, and they never you know uh, went close to the sex. So without sex, how can a person, how a person can have child?
Yeah, so they were hypocritical, and that.
Yeah. So these kind of the moral hypocrisy lead to the mistrust on religious people,
Hmm.
and then religion itself,
Hmm.
and then they don't have any choice.
Yeah, so from my understanding, a lot of these modernist thinkers and even like proto-modernist thinkers, it's not just it's not just that they don't believe in religion, but they actually like they hate it, and uh they want to see it gone. And uh I think that like you explained it perfectly. The Catholic Church, it was very sort of zealous in its suppression of rights and free thinking, and I think that led to a lot of infuriation among like these philosophers, and then those Enlightenment ideals sort of evolved into what we know as modernism after uh, evolution.
Samir, just one thing I want to, like, it
Hmm.
was not about the suppression of free thinking. So free thinking even today doesn't exist. So
Hmm.
so it was never about the suppression of free thinking. It was about the life, like the contradiction between action and the concept of piousness.
Hmm.
So how people were looking at the church, and how they were thinking that, okay, so suppose you have a very good concept or imagination of someone, and one day that person cheat you. Yeah, one day that person break the trust. So
Hmm.
how will you feel? So entire civilization, the Europe civilization, they felt like they were cheated by church.
Okay, so it's a distrust of like clergy, and then that sort of,
Yeah,
yeah. Okay,
yeah,
so like
it
distrust of
was more about that.
authority
Yeah, it
and
was.
authority
Yeah,
in
it was.
general. I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was more about the mistrust on authority.
Hmm.
And just a another quick question, because we're talking about Christianity and how much of a role it played on the idea of modernism as well as atheism as well, because historically the idea of using science or even studying science in the wrong Christian country could lead you into a lot of issues. Guys like Galileo and even certain frame of thinking. So
Hmm.
it's that refusal to accept even the study that could kind of, psychologically, that can kind of have a dependency for people to say, if you for people to say, if you're preventing me from doing certain things, now I'm gonna want to do it even more, and I'm gonna want to do it because you're telling me not to do it. That means what I'm doing is automatically going against what you're teaching.
Hmm.
So that could come across as science is an alternative for religion. Studying, following the flow of science could come as an alternative for Christianity, and
Hmm.
throughout the medieval empire or the medieval times, it was basically Christianity or bust. If you weren't a Christian, then you were an atheist because you weren't really acclimated to any other religion. So I know, excuse me. So, Brother Asim, this idea of how modernism, what role did the refusal to acknowledge the study of science, because in Islam we promote studying science. Even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us certain signs and wonders in the Quran for
Hmm.
us to ponder on. So what role did the Christians refusal to let their citizens study science, what role did that lead to trying to use science to judge someone's reality instead of religion? What role did how much of a role did that play, Brother Asim?
Yeah, as I said that the findings, the modern findings, were shattering the Christians, the beliefs. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, what they did, they acquired the Greek philosophy, and they built their entire Christian theology and that philosophy, the
Mm-hmm.
Aristotelian philosophy, and the Aristotelian philosophy got challenged. So, as we know that the the about the Earth, so moving Earth. So it was the part of their beliefs that their theological beliefs that the earth is we are living in a geocentric world. So that was their theological belief, and this belief was challenged. So that means the theology was challenged. Yeah, so their religion was challenged. So
Mm-hmm.
these kind of problem, uh, when the church faced that kind of problem, they try to suppress. because they were thinking, okay, finding is coming against our beliefs, our core theological beliefs. One is the social belief. Okay, social belief is something which can be changed.
Hmm.
There is no problem. But when there is some questions on your faith and some findings is questioning your faith, then and your faith has power, like the church has power in that era, then that will be very brutal. So church become very brutal against these kind of people. And from that time, the dichotomy, the the conflict between science and Christianity started. And then the scientists, the people who are studying science, they generalize that okay, all the religion is like Christianity. And they gave it like the conflict between religion and faith. But actually, it was not the conflict between science and faith. It is basically science and Christianity.
Hmm.
Mm. Barakallahu. Thank you.
Brother Ali, I also wanted to point out that you mentioned like a really interesting point where, science is seen as an alternative to religion, whereas as Muslims, we would see science as something which should be understood in the context of our religion. So it wouldn't be something that's diametrically opposed. And I wanted to also note that you mentioned that as Muslims were encouraged to sort of learn about these things. And I agree. I think that has a good impact on your faith because um, the more that we learn about science, the more we learn about the natural world,
Hmm.
the more we can understand how intricately Allah created it, and the better we can glorify Him. And also wanted to add on one more point, which was that I believe that there are some sciences like medicine or mathematics where I believe it was Ali Ghazali who said that these are communal sciences, these are prize sciences, and that's if there's no one in the community who does them, then the entire community would be considered sinful in that case. So there's definitely much more of an incentive to innovate in these fields.
Hmm. Yeah, most definitely, and that's why when science or a physicist, whatever, they say that science cannot prove or disprove religion. That really means science should not be the primary tool to determine if religion exists
Yeah,
or not,
exactly. Yeah,
or because it says it
it's
can't prove or disprove anything. So
yeah,
already that means it's something you use secondary.
yeah, brother Ali.
And go ahead.
It's yeah, I was gonna say it's like trying to measure time with a yardstick. Like
Exactly.
Mhm.
So, and even that's why when you read the Quran, Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, he he uses quote unquote the natural world in light of a bigger topic. So already from the from the revelation of the Quran from the 7th century, Muslims have this idea to look throughout the natural world, but don't go based upon the natural world, because Allah Subhanahu wa Taala first says, believe in the seen and the unseen, meaning if it's unseen, that means it's not natural, it's supernatural. It's so our Allah's already is already telling us to don't go based upon only just what you see. And two, every time Allah Subhanahu wa Taala mentions something we can study using quote unquote science, He uses it secondary to a bigger topic that He's trying to illuminate to us, such as, and I say this from time to time in Surah Al-Rahman. Allah Subhanahu wa Taala is using the the works, the things that He's blessed us with, the things that He's gifted us, the things in within His Majesty that He's done for us. And at the end, what is His biggest topic? He's asking us, which of the favors, which of the favors of your Lord will you deny?
Mhm.
That's the topic. So we're being trained with this idea to look towards the natural world, but
Mhm.
don't judge based upon the natural world.
Mhm.
So we Muslims already have that understanding. Meanwhile, and I'm not even just gonna call out Christianity. I'll even call out Judaism as well,
Mhm.
because in Judaism, if you read the Tanakh, they barely have this concept of the metaphysical. They barely have that concept of heaven, hellfire, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They barely have that concept. Most of what they talk about is what goes on in the natural world.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that loss of the supernatural, it's that loss of deen that comes into play. And that's where, the idea of modernism, like what Brother Asim is talking about, the when you lose, when you don't make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala your God,
Mm-hmm.
you tend to make your desires God. You make your tribe as gods, you make
Mm-hmm.
your people as gods, you make society as your God. And we can see traces of that even with the people of the book, the Bani Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Jazakallah khair. Brother Samir, if you do you have any other question, Akhi?
No, I just wanted to
Okay.
sort of expand on those points. Assalamu
Hi.
alaikum.
Jazakallah khair. All right.
Wa
Wa
alaikum
alaikum
salam,
assalam
akhi.
wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Mashallah.
All right.
I just want to sort of reiterate the idea that Muslims are encouraged to come up on the stage and ask the brother questions. This presentation is beneficial for both Muslims and non-Muslims. And we've talked a lot about Christianity's role in the postmodernistic era, and basically, it's a problem that uh, has been formed out of the Christian world, right? And the disengagement of Christianity from reality, from logic, from all of that, which sort of led us to this point where we're now completely disassociating logic and reason from our existence, right? And it sort of boils down to human beings denying God and God in the right sense. So I think Christians also, if you want to come up, have a discussion, or want to challenge the idea that Christianity is the cause of postmodernism and the current crisis that we're facing, which is a shared crisis between all religions, pretty much, right? You're welcome to come up and have that discussion as well, right? But please keep it on topic. Christians, Muslims, any other faith, atheists, come up, have a discussion with the brother. While we wait for somebody to join, Brother Asim, there's a couple of things I want to sort of um, uh, get you to expound on, right? So, firstly, when we look at the Western world or the Christian world primarily, postmodernism and modernism and postmodernism for them was a solution of the problem of Christianity. Why is it that Muslims who already have a solution are buying into this idea?
Yeah, that is very crucial, question in this era. So, why Muslims are buying this narrative? See, in our history, we have two crises. Yeah. So there is two kind of crisis basically. One is intellectual crisis and one is political crisis. Yeah. So in fourth, fourth and fifth, the century Hijri, we had intellectual, challenges, and our scholars answered that challenges. So like that challenges was from Greek philosophy. So we defeated them. Then we have the political crisis in 1258 AD by the Mongolians when they destroy, Baghdad. So we had political and intellectual crisis in the past, but at the same, the different and separate phases. But in the 19th century Muslim world, had this crisis, the political and intellectual, both crises together, and that is very dangerous. So we got colonized. The entire Muslim world, almost entire Muslim world got colonized, and this colonization was not merely a political power. They came with their own entire system. They came with their institutions. They came with their, materialistic metaphysics, with all sort of things. And not only they came, so when they were leaving, they the made ready a generations, the people who can rule with their own institutions. So the Muslim world is still today has the, colonial setups, their institutions, their entire education system, which is education system is something which shape, society, which shape an individual. So entire setup, the entire institutions, the everything is the same, which is a product of colonialism or the Enlightenment era. So this is I am amazed how a Muslim world is not totally destroyed. If you will see the institutions, the entire setup, the how their political system works, that is totally 100% the colonized system. But it's still like we the religion is alive, the Islam is alive in Muslim world. That is amazing. That is amazing, because we will see the other world, the non-Islamic world. So other religion is, either they are getting reinterpreted or they are dying. So this is the situation. But the Muslim did not compromise, and they did not interpret, or some people try to interpret the uh, Quran and Sunnah, but they got not accepted. But still the due to these institutions, due to these, the education system, the Muslim mind is not decolonized. So at the same time, they are very much Muslim from inside, but from the intellectual viewpoint, or from, you can say, in from heart they are Muslim, but in mind they are, they idealized colonial people. So this is the problem we are facing. But inshallah, in in the future we will solve this issue. Many people are working. Many people already knows that what kind of problem we have. So how we can decolonize, our mind, the Muslim mind, how we can replace these institutions, these education system.
Yep.
So this is the main reason why our youth or our people is still buying that narrative. That is because how they are being taught in the system.
So I
Yeah,
do have a
go ahead,
follow
Akhi.
up on this, and it's more of an observation. Is this when you're talking about the education system, and is this the crisis that a Muslim youth today goes through when at home, when he's studying the Quran, when he's praying, when he's going through all of this? Even the best Muslim youths who are religious in their upbringing, religious in their outlook of life, right? They accept that as part of their life, they internalize that. But when they go to their school and they're sitting down and doing their physics, chemistry, biology, mathematics, whatever else there is, there's that disconnect, complete disconnect with the idea that this is a way of learning about Allah's creation, right? From an Islamic perspective, that's the outlook that Muslims should have, right? But when you're looking at it from a secular perspective, the secular viewpoint, which has been forced even on the Muslim youth who are studying in some of the best Muslim countries, have been brought up with the best uh, households with the best upbringings, they do disconnect from their fitra when they're studying these fields. And I'm not denying the fact that to understand some things, you probably have to disconnect, but to fully understand something, right, you do have to realize that God is the creator. Is that a fair observation?
Uh, yeah, we can say, but the problem is not with the science textbook or the science classes. Like
Yes.
90% the content in the science textbook is not problematic. Yeah, 95%. There are two or three maybe the issues there. The main issue with the textbook is in social sciences, because
Okay.
at the home or at maktab or at madrasa, you learn some the Islamic values. Yeah, and science will not teach you what is the how you have to behave with your parents. In science classes you will not learn this, or what is right you will not learn this in science classes, or what is freedom you will not learn this in science classes. So social science classes is the problem, because in social sciences textbook we have all the enlightenment, the values, and they are being taught as the absolute values and the absolute truth. So the concept of freedom, the concept of the modern justice, the concept of the equality, the
Hmm.
concept of state, and the relationship of individual with state. So all these things are the part of social sciences, not the sciences. So
Okay.
100% social sciences textbook is the problem.
Okay. So, is this the reason why you feel that the fitra is covered up and becomes corrupted?
Yeah, one of the major factors is the
Okay.
education.
All right. We do have a question from one of from the chat.
There are
Fawad.
many reasons to hiding the fitra, and one is the major factor is education. The other factor is the way of life, how people are living in the society,
I, I
how
think
their
you cut off
parents
there
are
for a little
taught.
while.
Brother Asim, you cut off there. So you were talking about the major factors of uh, the covering of the fitra.
Akhi, you're breaking up. Okay, the brothers
Yeah,
probably
it's
having
happening
some
for me
issues
as
with the
well.
internet. Yeah.
Maybe so
No,
we'll wait
it's
for
sort of
Brother
faded
Asim
too.
to come back.
Inshallah. Yeah.
All right.
Another question I wanted to ask, and this is very, I mean, it's a vast topic. Maybe we might cover this in the future because this is
Yeah.
where like it piques my interest a lot, right? Like how the brother mentioned the Enlightenment period, how it took over the West, which
Yes.
inadvertently like affected the whole of the church and whatnot, right? But when I would like to ask him if he comes back, inshallah, when was the catalyst for this disconnect in the Muslim world? You know, because that like I would like to know, and what were the factors for those?
Yeah, that's a good question. Okay, Brother DeAndre, do you have
Oh, I
um
totally forgot the brother was here. Yeah,
yeah,
how are you doing, brother
mashallah,
DeAndre?
he's always so quiet. Brother DeAndre, are you here?
Yeah, I am
Maybe he's
here.
okay. Do you have any questions for
No,
Brother Asim?
I think it was a general, like, well-rounded presentation. I think it covered the topic. I think it covered the topic well.
Okay.
So, Jazakallah khair to brother Asim.
Yeah, so we lost Brother Asim. He's it seems like he has some technical difficulties. So he is back. Let's see. Okay, I'm adding him to stage. Let's see. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Asim.
Walaikum salam. Are you able to hear me? I just
Yes, yes, yes.
connected. I don't know why.
Yeah, so whatever the issue was, alhamdulillah, it's okay. It seems to be okay now.
Yeah, yeah,
So
alhamdulillah.
you were talking about the fitra.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I completed that. So two major factors. One is the education system, and one is the society.
Okay. Fawad,
Yeah. So, brother, I don't know if you heard. So while you were gone, I asked that how you discussed the Enlightenment period took over in the West, and what were the some of the major factors. And but what do you think would be the catalyst for this particular disconnect between advancement, or like so-called advancement in sciences, and religion in the Muslim world? What first of all, when do you think this divergence happened, and what was the catalyst for it?
So, first of all, we have to understand that the theory of declination is not true. So, someone is saying that the science or the natural sciences got declined. If you will read the history of natural science in Muslim world, you can easily you can see the development till 18th century in the Muslim world. Yeah, but that is true that the Muslim world was not able to compete with the Europeans. So, what was the reason? The reason was colonization. So, and another reason also was like the Muslim world does not have that kind of the presuppositions or that kind of purpose what the Enlightenment or the European people have after Enlightenment. Yeah. So that was the two factors. One was that Muslim the world, they were not thinking to advance in terms of war or something else. So the scientific advancement is very closely linked with colonization. So if there was no colonization or like no colony, so then we don't have that much of advancement in the science. So war and colonization was the major factor in scientific advancement in Europe.
okay.
And Muslim world was, they were defending, yeah, so they were not advancing. So that causes that they were not able to make that kind of progress in terms of industries and other things. Yeah.
But what do you think would be like the catalyst for lack of motivation in the Muslim world? Why is it that we were at the peak, we were growing leaps and bounds, right? With the advent of Islam, just within a couple
Mhm.
of centuries, right? We were
Mhm.
pioneers in almost all of the scientific world in general. But then why is it then with the decline of I would say probably the Ottoman Empire, right? Why is it like what created this divergence, and why was there a lack of motivation all of a sudden?
Yeah. So as I said that the European modern advancement in this field, or the other scientific advancement, is very much linked with the project of colonization. The same way
Mm.
the Muslim advancement is linked with Dawa. Yeah. So their advancement, the every advancement, the scientific advancement will come to fulfill the purpose of Dawa. So you will if you will read the history, you will see that the from or like 17th 18th century onwards, Muslim were very dull in terms of dawa. They were not doing dawa. They were just satisfied in their their houses and their land. And after the victory, or after yeah, after the victory of Constantinople, the Constantinople, present day Istanbul, Muslim thought, okay, so now we have fulfilled all the like the
Obligations.
not, that is what is called I forgot the terms. Um, Passion Goi, what is called that?
The predictions,
Predictions.
Yeah.
the
So
prophecies, right?
yeah, prophecies. So we have fulfilled all the prophecies of the prophets. So now, like, they got settled and they got satisfied, and they abandoned the dawa work. So that was
Oh,
the
okay.
major reason. So
So, Brother
because
Asim,
our advancement is linked with dawa, so when we
yeah,
will
mashallah.
start dawa, we will start advancing in science also.
So, Brother Asim, it's almost as if the civilization that wants to grow, right, politically, will grow not just politically but scientifically and intellectually and all of these. So Muslims, when we stopped spreading the message of Allah in this world, right, that's the
Mhm,
point where we started sort of regressing
mhm.
in that sense. But
Yeah.
one of the other things, Brother Asim, I think, which is probably very interesting to look at, and we cannot ignore that aspect of it, is the exploration of the new world, because that in one way brought a lot of resources, a lot of opportunities in the to the Europeans, and because the Muslims
Mhm.
did not take that opportunity to go into this new world and explore and conquer, right, we got left behind, right? Because at that point in time, Muslims were the dominant religion in this world. Europeans were, the Christianity was limited to Europe, and even Europe was being threatened. And then all of a sudden, with the opening of the new world, North and South America, they were able to compete and overturn everything. Oh, oh, did we lose the brother again? Okay. Uh, yes. So brother Asim seems to be having some challenges with his. Okay. Oh, so,
It's
sorry, brother Asim. I don't know how much
again
of
and again. Yeah.
yes. I don't know how much of that you heard.
Yeah. So, you were saying that we have stopped in exploration of new world.
Yes.
So, yeah,
So the
that is
exploration of
true.
the new world
Yeah.
allowed
Yeah.
Europe to sort of tap into all these resources and turn around the situation they were in. Because before that, when we look at the world map or when we look at history, Muslims were the dominant religion, the dominant force on this earth. We owned all of India, almost all of India. We owned everything from India all the way to Spain, right? And then when this happened with the exploration of North and South America, um, Europe was able to turn everything around.
Yeah. So I was saying that the exploration, if a Muslim doing his exploration, that will be due for dawa. Yeah.
Yes,
Because why a Muslim will explore a new world? Just to spread
right.
the message of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. The one thing is the purpose will be to deliver the message, and the another thing is also we have to highlight that the Muslim exploration will not be European explorations, because they came, they didn't settle, they just suck all the resources and transported it to their own countries or land. But the Muslims, the way of Muslim ruling way of Muslim is not like that. So if you will see the Muslim history, whenever a Muslim ruler went to a land, they settled there with their people, and they they choose to be one of them. Yeah, not like the European people. They live in India, but the colonizer will not identify themselves as Indian. Yeah, they will identify themselves as the British. This will not happen in the Muslim exploration, because if you will see the history, when the Muslim came to the Khorasan, what is called Khorasan, present day, like Iran and Afghanistan and some parts of Central Asia, they settle there and they become one of them. The same way in India, you will see that. Same way in China, you will see like the over region. The same way in Indonesia and Malaysia. Same way in Spain. So they became one of them, and they never think, because see, for a Muslim the entire land is same. If you are living in Spain, or if you are living in uh, South America or North America, it doesn't matter. The land doesn't matter for you, because the purpose matters for you. So as a Muslim, you will hold the purpose. So if your purpose is same in Spain or in South America, the land is same for you. Land doesn't matter. So you will not identify as a Muslim with a particular land. So, and that is the difference between Muslims and the modern way of, acquiring the land or resources. So you will not find that the resources was sucked from Khorasan and they were delivered to Mecca or Medina. We will not find that kind of behavior in Muslim history.
Okay, mashallah. So it's almost as if you're informing us that Muslims never colonized a land. What we did was, and this is true for our history as well, that we always looked at uh, opening up these lands to liberate the people, because when the British came, they colonized us, and in India, and you, me, and a lot of the brothers, they can relate to this idea as well, that uh, oh, we lost. Uh, what happened,
No, no,
Fawad?
no, no, we didn't lose him. I actually
Okay,
switched
okay.
the yeah, so we can bring the brother on, inshallah. So
All right. Let's
yeah,
keep it this way. All right.
yeah.
So, yes, Brother Asim. So I was just mentioning that. So this notion of, or this accusation that we Muslims face, that Muslims colonized the world before, and the Christians only colonized as a response. It's it's a fallacious presentation, which of a misrepresentation of history.
Yeah. So that is one of the biggest fallacious misrepresentation. You can say, like, colonized whom? Like
Yes.
the if you will say colonized Berber or the African people is colonizing their own people, what kind of colonization that is? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have a king from Mali, so one of the richest person in human history, and he was
Yeah.
a Berber king. Yeah. So if someone is saying he was colonizing his own people, okay, that is like a new definition of colonization. So if you will see the in Iran, so in Abbasid period, in the early Abbasid period, the rulers of the Iranian, the region was the same Persian people, the Nuh bin Saman. We have the Samanide dynasty in second century in Iran. The same way we have the very regional, the dynasties in all over the Muslim world. So, like, colonizing whom? So they are basically claiming that the own people are colonizing own people. Okay, what kind of colonization is that?
Yeah. Jazakallah khair for uh, clarifying that as well. We do have Brother Ricardo with us. Uh, Brother Ricardo, can you just confirm that you can hear us? You're on mute, Akhi.
Brother, you're on stage, brother Ricardo.
Looking.
Yeah,
Um,
brother looking. Um,
all right.
okay,
So just to give you some
yeah,
background, Brother Asim, Brother Looking, just this week he converted to Islam. Mashallah, he was on the Dawah Wise channel.
Mashallah.
He converted there. Um I'm not sure what happened, but we'll wait for the brother to confirm. Okay, but Jazakallah khair for this uh, uh, the insights that you're giving us. And any other question? Fawad, I thought you had a question as well, or
no, I already asked the brother. Brother, just to confirm, brother Asim, how much time do we have with you? Because we don't want to keep you longer than.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe 5-10 minutes.
Okay,
I'll
inshallah. All right, so just so we know. All right, so I don't know if the brother is on stage, but his microphone is muted, unfortunately. So hopefully probably he's away. He didn't realize that he's on stage. In the meantime, if anybody else has any question, even if somebody's shy, they don't want to come on stage, they can put their questions here in the chat.
Yeah,
Brother DeAndre, if you have any questions, feel free,
I
Ahi.
I do want to point something out. So I know that in the chat there's a discussion going on in Urdu. I would recommend, because most of our viewers are uh, English speaking audience, so just keep that chat in English as much as you can, so people don't uh, feel left out or get uncomfortable when they're coming in to read the chat. Jazakallah khair.
Brother DeAndre, are you there? He's probably enjoying
Yeah,
some
I'm here.
tacos. Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
do you, do you have a question?
No, no, I don't have a question. Like I said earlier, the brother is here, so I think that the presentation was pretty interesting and comprehensive. I think it covers the topic well, and I think I agree, with the point about the birth, or that Christianity's involvement within uh you know modernism, and I also completely agree with the other points earlier, right? That that a lot of the time science and religion are viewed as incompatible, but as Muslims we are actually taught that science is to be understood with in light of our religion, that they actually are compatible, because a lot of the times people view science and religious belief as incompatible, but for us we don't see it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's quite ironic, like living in the West. I mean, all of you guys can probably relate to that. And I would like to know, like, what you guys think of this, right? Like, even when you sit down with the Western conservatives, right? They will talk to you about God all day long. They will, whatever religion they belong to, right? They'll talk to you about all this degeneracy in the society these days, right? And they will even blame like modernity and whatnot for it, right? But deep down, none of them show the intention or desire to give authority back to the church, right? Like, have you ever heard any Christian or Catholic arguing that the world would be a
No,
better place
they
under a
they don't want to,
theocracy?
because
Yeah,
they know their
exactly.
history. They know what happened when the church had power, right? And they don't want to go back to it. But brother Asim Iftekhar, one of the interesting situation that we ended up with, and this is like I'm just bringing it up because of what we discussed today. We had someone come up recently on our channel and tell us, why do we have to use logic to understand God? And that was literally the question that we were posed by that individual. And this is where postmodernism is leading us, where it's okay to ask that question, why are you using logic? So brother Asim, you're on mute. Not sure if yeah.
Yeah. So
So
there is two things, like we don't use the reason or the logic to comprehend God or define God completely.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we use our reason or the logic just to for an indication towards God's. Yeah. So like we are not saying that we have to solely rely on our reason to define the God, like the as to know the reality of God. So that is beyond our reason, we cannot say that. But the world or the other, the sign or the other your the logical premises that will lead to the God. When it will lead to the God, we will establish some the basic premises, and then we will come to the revelation. So we
Yeah.
said that the ghaib or the unseen world cannot be known and cannot be defined by the reason, by the
Yeah.
logic. We say that, but the
Yeah.
logic will lead you to the God with some indicators, but the logic will not define the God entirely.
Okay. Brother Asim, one question, since we don't have anyone else come out. I just want to ask you, if let's say you're having a discussion with someone who holds the secular viewpoint, whether they're an academic, a Christian, um, atheist, whatever background they have, what are some of the questions that we should be asking them to basically unlock the idea of where we see this postmodernistic and modernism assumptions that they're coming to us with, and basically take the discussion into a more Islamic paradigm and have a more meaningful discussion with them.
It depends on the person, like what kind of the person he or she is, and also the topic and the situations. But the mostly I personally like what I have observed, the talking about the purpose and the death, that two things will unlock the fitra, you can say, or something which they will try to connect with their life. Yeah, so the purpose and death, these two things can create the a metaphysical meaning in his mind or her mind. Then we can proceed with the further discussions, and then we can discuss the like revelation or the God and the other things. But we need some points. But most of the people, the modern people, they are very afraid of the listening about death. They are very afraid, very much afraid.
Yeah.
So if you will talk about any people, and even you will take the mistakenly you will pronounce the word death, they will get afraid. But we have to start this a conversation with the purpose of
Mm.
life. And then if like the people, if we think that okay, this is a good situation where we also can discuss death, so we should discuss death, and then we should discuss the the tawheed and wahi and akhirah and so.
Yeah, jazakallah khair, akhi.
Yeah. Inshallah. All right. So
Okay, so now I will take permission to leave.
Ja-
Jazakumullah khairan. So
Jazakallah khair
oh
for
yeah,
coming, Brother Asim. And oh, Brother Basalat is here.
Rabbi Sadat
Okay.
joined us right now. When the presentation is over, when the brother is about to take his leave, that's when Brother Basadat shows up.
All right.
Yeah,
inshallah.
Jazakallah khair, akhi. It was very insightful, and once again, we
Jazak-
thank you from the bottom of our heart. And may Allah bless you for all the hard work that you're doing. And yeah, inshallah, see you soon,
Yeah.
akhi.
Brother Asim, do you have your own channel that our viewers can
Oh
subscribe
yes,
to?
Yeah,
yes, yeah,
I have Aasim Iftekhar is the name of the channel. Yeah, so
Okay.
but most of the content is in Urdu, Hindi.
Yeah.
So the people who don't understand Urdu and Hindi, hardly they will grasp what I am talking there.
I think some of our viewers do uh,
yeah.
have Urdu or Hindi background. Okay, I'm just
Jazakumullah.
gonna add the link to your channel, Akhi.
Yeah.
And Jazakallah khair for coming. This was really insightful for us. So
Barakallah.
for our viewers, we've added the we I just included the link to Brother Asim's channel. You can see some of his work there. In addition to this, the brother also frequents Mufti Yasser's channel and Brother Basalat as well. So you can see some of his discussions over there as well.